All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're tackling one of the most exciting markets in the world, Vietnam. If you're looking to build a powerful brand that can truly last there, this is your guide for 2026. So, here's how we're going to break this down. First up, we'll look at the massive opportunity and, of course, the big challenge that comes with it. Then we'll dig into what I call the 4 pillars of a solid brand identity. After that, it's all about understanding the Vietnamese customer, who they really are. We'll then give you a practical step-by-step blueprint to follow. And to wrap it all up, we'll look into our crystal ball at the future trends you need to know for 2026. Okay, Section 1, the opportunity and the challenge. Look, before you can even think about building a brand, you've got to know the lay of the land, right? We're talking about huge potential, but also a pretty significant hurdle you've got to clear to really make it. First things first, the sheer size of the opportunity here is just staggering. We're talking about a market with more than 75 million internet users. Think about that. That's a massive, digitally savvy audience, and their spending power is on the rise. They're online, and they're ready for brands to engage with them. But of course, with that kind of scale comes the big question, the central challenge. In a market that's getting more and more crowded, especially in hotspots like e-commerce, F&B, you name it, how on earth do you stand out? How do you make sure your brand is the one people actually notice, and more importantly, remember? And here's the answer. It all comes down to your brand identity. A strong, authentic identity isn't just some fluffy marketing term. It's your competitive moat. Seriously, it's that protective wall around your business that builds loyalty and lets you charge what you're worth, even when everyone else is in a race to the bottom on price. So that leads us perfectly into Section 2. We know why you need that moat. Now, let's talk about how to actually build it. We're going to break it down into 4 core pillars that make up the foundation of any great brand. So, when we say brand identity, what are we really talking about? Well, for starters, it is not just your logo. It's everything, the whole shebang. It's the complete package. How you look, how you sound, how you act, and how you genuinely fit into the local culture. It's the total expression of who your brand is. And these are the 4 pillars that have to work together. Think of it like a table. If one leg is wobbly, the whole thing falls over. You've got your visual identity, that's your look and feel. Your brand voice and messaging, that's your personality and story. Then your customer experience, how people feel when they interact with you. And finally, and this is absolutely critical in Vietnam, your cultural positioning, making sure you're relevant and authentic. Get one of these wrong, and the whole structure is at risk. And that last pillar, cultural positioning, brings us right to Section 3. Because let's be real, you can't build anything strong if you don't understand the ground you're building on. You absolutely have to know your Vietnamese customer, inside and out. First thing to understand, Vietnam is not one single market, not even close. You're looking at least 3 major consumer groups. You've got your affluent urban folks. They're all about luxury, status, and global trends. Then there's the huge, and I mean huge, emerging middle class. They're aspirational, looking to move up, and they're all over TikTok looking for social proof. And then you have your value-conscious segment who care about price, utility, and what their friends and family recommend. You can't just throw one message out there and hope it sticks with all 3. It won't. And this need for a tailored approach gets even more specific when you look at different regions. There's a real north-south divide in mindset. Up north, around Hanoi, things are a bit more traditional, more conservative. People there really value heritage, craftsmanship, and a respectful tone. But head down south to Ho Chi Minh City, and it's a different world. It's more entrepreneurial, modern, and way more open to dynamic, fast-paced marketing. So yeah, one size definitely does not fit all. So the real takeaway here is this. Your brand has to connect with core Vietnamese cultural values. I'm talking about things like family and community. Those are absolutely central. Respect and tradition are huge. Humility is also key. A brand that's too boastful or aggressive can really turn people off. And consumers expect things to be well-made and last. If you can weave these values into your brand's DNA, that's how you build a real, authentic connection. All right, so now that we have all that crucial cultural context, let's get practical. Let's get into the how-to. Section 4 is your strategic blueprint. It's a clear 3-phase process that'll walk you through building your brand identity from scratch. And the process here is really logical. You just have to follow the steps. Phase 1 is strategy. That's all the deep thinking. Phase 2 is your visual identity. That's the look. And phase 3 is your brand messaging and voice. And listen, the order here is critical. You have to do them in this order. Strategy always, always comes first. So phase one is all about pouring that concrete foundation. Before you even dream about a logo or pick a single color, you need to do the homework. You've got to define your mission, size up the competition, and then, this is the most important part, write a crystal clear positioning statement that tells the world exactly where you fit in. And here's a perfect example of what a great one looks like. Just read this. See how specific it is? It nails the target audience, affluent Vietnamese professionals. It defines the category, sustainable fashion choice. And it gives you that unique selling point, combining international quality with Vietnamese heritage. Bam! That one sentence becomes your North Star. Every single decision you make from here on out should be guided by it. Now, once you've got your strategy, your visuals, and your voice locked in, the next challenge is consistency. You have to show up the same way everywhere. And I don't just mean on your website and social media. I'm talking about your packaging, the way your customer service team answers the phone. Every single touch point has to feel like it's coming from the same brand. Okay, let's bring it home with our final section. It's time to look ahead. Section 5 is all about the future, the key trends for 2026. This is about making sure the brand you're building today won't be obsolete tomorrow. So, what's coming down the pike? A few big things for sure. First, authenticity and purpose are table stakes now. People want to know what your brand stands for beyond just making money. We're also seeing this incredible surge in cultural pride. A made in Vietnam story is more powerful than ever. And no surprise here, a seamless mobile-first digital experience is non-negotiable. And looking even further ahead, AI-driven personalization is going to be a game changer. And just a quick practical note on how long all this takes. Look, building a brand the right way is an investment, not just of money, but of time. A really solid process from start to finish is probably going to take you about 3 to 4 months. Trust me, trying to rush this part is the fastest way to end up with a weak brand that just doesn't connect. So, let's wrap up with this final thought. Succeeding in Vietnam isn't just about having a great product. It's about combining that deep cultural understanding with a really sharp professional strategy. This is a market that rewards brands who do the work. So the big question I want to leave you with is this. Is the brand you're building ready to win not just today, but in the Vietnam of tomorrow?